Yeah. 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 So many lies that you hear from the net, they don't get her respect. She reporting the truth, not a check. You want an unbiased opinion straight from the chest, not a bit of accomplice or someone here for a check. Tune in, these are thoughts from a lawyer on a mission who goes so hard it's like she works on commission. Trolls in the comments might say she tripping cause they lack the knowledge. They don't know they missing. Got a couple current events that you like. Wanna know about law from the eyes. Tired of all these blogs running lies because their agendas are disguised. Tune in to the intellect, cause I'm sure y'all missing all the facts of the case that she steady is gifting. Someone here for the people, man, it's so uplifting. If you ain't subscribed yet, then you just omitting facts.
Hello, everyone. Happy Monday. It is Pam Esquire, also known as Your Law Intellect. I hope you guys had a fantastic weekend. So I woke up today and I was cleaning, and I think I've mixed way too many products together. So if I tip over a little bit, just wait a couple of minutes. You know how you start cleaning and you start having Lysol, then you like some Clorox scrub, then some bleach, had a little Fabuloso, had a little oil. I was like, I think I'm getting lightheaded, but it was smelling so good. But I think I probably should not have mixed all of that together. But if I feel a little woo, look a little woo, that's what it is. I'm not drunk or anything. I just was cleaning this morning. But anyway, I hope you guys are having a good Monday. I see y'all coming in with the good super chat. That's what I'm talking about. Love on your girl. Thank you so much, Sherman, for the super chat. Miss HLS said, hey, Pam in chat. Hey, Miss HLS. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Y'all know what we here for. It's almost D-Day for Diddy. All right. I don't know what we about to do. Once Diddy finds out his fate, I don't know what we are going to do. I don't know. I'm ready for it to be over, though, but I just haven't figured out what we're going to do next. But anyway, Diddy today, right now, I think it probably is over now. It usually lasts about an hour and a half. You get jury instructions. I was looking online to try to see the jury instructions. Let me plug this up before I get started, before we run out of battery here. The jury instructions, I always told you guys, was very important because we can, as you guys have probably noticed, even attorneys aren't even on one accord on what needs to be proven and how it needs to be proven. And partially to that is because your layman's term oftentimes is not legal terms. And so what jury instructions does is it explains everything, and it tells you what we argue and what our theories is, not what the evidence is. The evidence is the evidence. That's probably going to be around the first ones we see. They're going to tell you what your duties are, that you got to prove each element beyond a reasonable doubt. There'll be some definitions on what certain words mean, the mens rea or the intent, if there are any that has to do with intent. What an enterprise is, what it takes for an enterprise. There was a conspiracy, like I told you all, and it has to be an agreement, and the agreement has to be a continuity of the agreement with the same objective. There are so many different things that have to be proven that it was just amazing to me how, again, you get some lawyers that don't understand it, but you have so many people that are just getting into this legal space that all of a sudden they just know everything, and everything was proven like 20 weeks ago. But what happens is when you have a jury, they are what's called the trier of facts. We only care about what they think. I say that over and over again. We're just social media jurors giving our unsolicited opinion. I mean, pretty much. I mean, I think they actually view a lot of our videos, and sometimes the tweaking may have been based on what public perception is. It's almost like they have a free focus group. If they utilize YouTube in the fashion that they should have or could have, to see how they could have tweaked it up a little bit and kind of what the consensus is on either side. But they can literally, they being the jurors, can say, listen, I don't believe nothing this person said. And they can discount their entire testimony. So I think people just believe because it was said the jurors have to take it into account. They don't. They can choose what they want to consider, and what they consider is like, no, they caught them up a lot in cross-examination. They seem like they're lying. That's why cross-examination is all we say the defense has, and it's very, very important, because if they can challenge the credibility, then maybe the jury not going to pay you an ounce of attention when they start deliberating. After the jury instructions, and they do go by line, because they have to understand this is their roadmap. This is literally what they go back there and they're going to keep referring to while they're deliberating. And once they get through that, then they'll go back to the juror and they get to finally discuss it with each other when they get back to the jury room. And initially, what oftentimes they do, of course, they pick a foreman who is kind of like the leader of it all and keeps everything organized. And you say, hey, let's do a vote. And you may see what people's opinions are initially when they come in. Most people probably have an opinion by the time they get back there. And then what will probably happen is some person on the right might persuade somebody on the left. So from my understanding, there are 8 women and 4 men that are on the jury. And sometimes I do think women are more harder on other women. So it'll be very, very interesting to see what happens. I see more super chats coming in. You guys are the bomb. Okay. Thank you, Miss Lady. You said thanks for the update. Thank you for supporting. Judge Wood said one out of 5 counts, prostitution only in my eyes. You know, I agree as far as prostitution being the strongest count. But if they really believe the whole they're just trying to come into your bedroom and all of that, maybe they feel like that shouldn't be it either. So it's going to be very interesting. But I do agree with you. That seems like the strongest count. I think RICO is the weakest one, and it has the most hefty consequences. Well, he can face life in prison. And then when it comes to trafficking, I think it's a minimum of 15 years. However, what the statute says when it comes to sentencing, there are sentencing guidelines. So they do get reduced. That's pretty much what the statutory laws will say. But what you will have is a pre-sentencing report that goes from their office, their supervision or supervisory office. It's like a probation office, parole office type situation. And they do what's like a preliminary report, and they'll do your whole background. And sometimes they're mitigating factors why they should be on the lower end of the scale. And, that's when the character letters come in and people talk about they're so wonderful. I've never seen him out here with baby oil. I've never seen him with Astroglide. When I saw him, he was reading books to the kids in Harlem. When I saw him, he was feeding the poor and he was giving thermometers to the sick. Then you're going to get Baby Love or something where they probably going to do a handprint, I miss my daddy. That's what happens, if you get to the sentencing phase. But I know he hopes he never gets to a sentencing phase. I know he hopes that he goes and he's doing fireworks this weekend. But we shall see. But what I did want to do, of course, I would prefer, you guys know me, to go over the actual jury instructions, but I didn't see those. Thank you, Goldie526. She said, you look cute, Pammy. Have a great day. Diddy is done. That's from Goldie526. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Let me double check right quick. Y'all know that's how it go. They like, he's never done a thing in his life. Everything he's done has just been brilliant. And then, of course, the government gets up and they like, he stole bubblegum when he was 5. Brilliant. He has a prior of beating up a producer. Brilliant. He's done ABC. He beat up allegedly a coach. Brilliant. He was just in trial in the 90s for his old anger issues. He ain't all that. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by the celebrity. Show him, like they said, he is not a god. He can go down like everyone else. And we asked at the court, because of all the stress of all of this, because Diddy's team just stressed the government out. They probably ain't really never had to go. Now, Comey is seasoned. I know she's seasoned. But yeah, she probably like, man, they wore me out. I ain't been able to enjoy no vacations. I ain't been able to kiss my kids. I've just been working day and night. And they was like, no, slap it to them. Give them all of it. Ear, nose, and throat. Thank you for the super sticker. We're going to reach our goal before we even get started. Thank you so much. They're going to be like, he did it all and some. We want him at the higher end of the sentencing. That's if it gets that far. But we're not there yet. Now we're just at the jury instructions. So let's go ahead and see what these tweets is talking about. Oh, the judge did mention a 5 year statute. I told y'all, didn't I tell y'all about we got to pay attention to the statute of limitation? It has to be continuity. And it has to be the same goal. Okay, but anyway, let's get into it. So they started at 9:12, so approximately 2.5 hours ago, where the judge came in and he probably sat down like, whew, I'm glad this issue's over. That's probably what he was thinking. I am so glad to get to my regular pleas that's about to happen now. My civil cases where people fighting over money. Whew, thank you, God. So then judge said, in case there's anything, we'll bring the jury in for the charge. So then Garrett goes for Combs, said the laptop is ready. There's a few things we'll finalize during the charge. The judge said, just email it to Chambers. And then, of course, Inner City said this is not in the docket because they don't like that. Inner City be pissed off. Like, why are they talking about all this emailing to the judge and then they don't never put it on the docket for the public? He been fighting this whole time. Thank you, Roberta, for the Cash App. I appreciate it. That was so kind of you. Thank you for the love. But yeah, so let's go on. So they're emailing it to the change. So the jury enters and they probably like, ooh, baby, y'all just went and picked up my fireworks. I can't wait till this issue's over. They already probably got in their mind pretty much what they want to do. Probably got, all this baby oil. I want to see another freak. I done had to watch people have acts. This has just been a lot. It's going to be very interesting which big network actually is able to get these jurors to talk because they going to talk. Some of them are going to talk. Who is going to be able to get them to come on if he, is found not guilty and just say how they felt watching other people? Like as part of your civic duty, you had to watch Sean Combs have, well, I guess he won't really have actual relationship. He's back there with bandanas on, sitting in the corner, baby oil, more baby oil, watching other random strangers do it. Like, how did that make you feel? That's just interesting. So let's go on. The judge said, I'll read you the charge. It's long, but I'll try to make it interesting, I'm sure. You have now heard all of the evidence in this case, as well as the final arguments of the parties. I will instruct you on the law as I give it to you. The evidence is the testimony. Didn't I tell y'all that? The answers and the exhibits. Arguments are not evidence. You are the sole and exclusive arbiters of the facts. What is a reasonable doubt? It's based on your common sense after carefully weighing all the evidence. You just weigh each witness's credibility, the truth and importance of their testimony. Size him or her up. See, I told you it's up to the jury. They can place weight on it, or they can say, we don't even care about what they talking about. Let's put them to the side. They liars. Like a Bongalin or whoever, that people may not believe. You must decide. Sean Combs has been formally charged in an indictment. The indictment is not evidence. So whatever they said in the indictment, that's why he ended up coming forward and being arrested and tried. However, until everything in that indictment is actually proved in trial and in the evidence, that indictment is not evidence. That's just what they're alleging. That's why I always say what they allege in this indictment is A, B, C, D, and E because, that's what it is. That's just what the government is saying that happened. Judge says count uno. Charges from 2004 to 2024, a racketeering enterprise. Count 2 from 2009 to 2018, trafficking of Cassandra Ventura. Count 3 from 2009 to 2018, transporting individuals, including but not limited to Ventura, for purposes of prostitution. Put the PR on there. Count 4 from 2019 to 2024, trafficking of Jane. Count 5 from 2019 to 2024, transporting individuals, including but not limited to Jane, for purposes of prostitution. Add the PR. Each count is separate. For attempts, the U.S. must show intent and substantial step taken. So that's all those intentions, I guess, with the predicate acts. Mere intention does not amount to an attempt. Aiding and abetting means knowingly doing some act to aid or encourage a crime to be committed. For RICO, R-I-C-O, the U.S. must prove that from 2004 to 2024, there was an agreement. Some people were saying you ain't have to have one, and I was just like, you do know this is a conspiracy, but okay. Between 2 or more individuals for a racketeer enterprise that impacted interstate commerce, that the defendant joined and committed at least 2 predicate acts. Those predicate actos. I don't even know if that's really how you say it, but it seems like it should be. The U.S. must prove a mutual understanding to cooperate. Y'all hear that? A mutual. So that's why the defense was showing there was no information that these people didn't even knew what was happening. Okay. You may infer its existence from the circumstances of this case. So you can use circumstantial evidence to make that inference. Actions may speak louder than words. You may consider the acts of all of those you find to be participants. If you find that the Combs enterprise existed, you must find whether it continued. Remember, I said continuity in a substantially similar form from 2004 to 2024. So it has to be, if you say it's an enterprise, some criminal enterprise, they didn't get past that, they hit. If they can't find the enterprise, it's a wrap. If they can't find an agreement, it's a wrap. Remember, you have to go beyond a reasonable doubt to each element. So they're saying if there's an enterprise, you must also show that it continued in a substantially similar form from 2004 to, I mean, everything was the same. You can go back and everything, how you know how he was moving was what it was. This is another problem, in my opinion, but I ain't no juror. We seen an arson with a car bomb. We didn't see a whole lot of those. We seen spotty, unorganized criminal acts because this man, Sean Combs, just seemed like he needed some anger management. And he was jealous and he was trying to control his girls, even though he was out here spreading it low and spreading it wide in every state and country. However, when it came to his girls, he couldn't take what he was dishing out. And so he would act a fool. And Cassie was his match. You know, she kind of met his match. She was like, okay, you out here acting like a fool. I'm going to go kick it with Kid Cudi. You acting like a fool. I was watching a football game and that NFL guy kind of cute. I'm about to call him up too. What? Michael B. Jordan is that new guy on the scene for acting and we got a little flick together. He kind of cute. So she started flirting with him. And then Diddy would go nuts. But those were just circumstances in his relationship that were spotty, that he just did ridiculous things. Does that amount to the continuity in substantially similar acts? The people can change. That means that KK may not have been around through the whole thing, but if she gets replaced with somebody who basically does whatever she's doing in this alleged criminal enterprise, then that doesn't matter because it's going to change people, because he used to have assistants through a revolving door. So they wanted the court. That was one of the things the government wanted them to know, is that the people can change. But I guess the whole goal has to be the same. As to the defendants being a member, he had to know of the existence of the enterprise. So there is a mens rea element. Sean Combs had to know what he was doing was a criminal enterprise. And all this criminal activity was happening with the common goal. This is what I'm talking about, y'all. That's all I'm saying. This is what I'm talking about. Make sure you please hit the like button. The only thing that was continual were the substance, but the people in the other acts were spotty. So the people don't matter. It's just about the continuous acts. Trent James said wrong is wrong and right is right. That which wrong get him, and that which is consistently agreed upon, consistent between adults, let that ride free. Jackson Tabasco said, good morning, Pam and everyone. Good morning. Thank you so much. Judge Wood said, Comey asked the judge to rewrite with not knowing. How did... Course correction said, I'm not sure there was a mutual agreement to cooperate. Robert said, RICO is not proven. Let's see. Let him learn that people's lives matter. And Mac said, pack puff up. Hey, and Mac, good to see you, Brody. Body Kumba said Diddy was too free. That's the problem. So do you think, I mean, I know probably we could all agree somewhat. We don't always agree on everything. Of course, we have our own minds. Do we agree that he probably should have been stopped and he was out here running amok? Yes. But while he was running amok, I think they may have missed the mark. And one of the things that was said, which is very, very interesting, that the defense said in their closing is, none of these witnesses went to the government and said, listen, I believe that I was prostituted, I was a part of an enterprise, whatever. Nobody came to that. What happened is, as I said, Cassie filed that lawsuit, and then I felt the government felt like they had to investigate. Then you heard all these rumors all over the internet that we now know was not a part of anything, and half of it was probably made up, and people took the bait. And so the government pursued it. Now, do I think that necessarily when it comes to trafficking, that people necessarily always go to them or whatnot? Probably not. That's probably one of those charges where they pay attention to somebody, and usually it's like a cultish situation is how the last few cases that I've looked at were. But they all went for lawsuits, okay? That's why I said I don't even think Cassie really wanted to testify. But once she was out there and put out her lawsuit, it just didn't matter. Like her, why she gonna go as Jane Doe? Like she done put it out there. She got her 20 million. And this is why I said once she actually filed that lawsuit, it was kind of ridiculous for Diddy to settle. This is why. Because all of this happening was foreseeable. Any reasonable, prudent person should know that the government was not going to let this go as much as it was rocking the world. But anyway, I have more super chats, so that is very important. Thank you so much, Jackson Tabasco, for the super chat. I appreciate that. Sally said, thank you for your professional expertise in providing legal info to make a conscious decision. Thank you, Sally. I appreciate that. And at the end of the day, y'all can hate his guts. Y'all can say guilty, not guilty. We're going to all still be, the social media family. You know what I'm saying? MB said, thanks for all the updates. Hey, Lisa, good to see you. Thank you for being a member, sis. I appreciate that. Okay, let's get back into it. Hey, Andrea, Leah TV, Tanika, Jig Rock Radio. Good to see you. Just Toya. Just Toya said, I don't think I've seen you before, sis. So let me get into your comment. FOs aren't illegal, and all these witnesses did not. She got all caps, so she was serious. Filed criminal charges. They all claimed to love him. They all wanted to prove loyalty, didn't leave and reap the benefits. So just Toya said this is a bunch of shenanigans. Thank you so much for commenting. Rich Auntie said Diddy should not get off free on the technicality. So, Rich Auntie, we're going to have to kind of unpack that. People call things technicalities when it's the way the law is. So, you have to be careful when you say things like a technicality. And this is just something I want you to think about, is because you're saying that. So, if somebody in your family, God forbid, gets accused of unaliving someone, but because they are a drug dealer and they have a house in the hood and they've been known to have issues in the house, do you want them to just automatically assume that this person should do life without the possibility of parole? Because you're like, oh, it's a technicality that he really didn't commit the unaliving. We have to be careful. There's a reason why you have to prove every single element. And when you say they get off on a technicality, no, they get off because they didn't prove their burden. They didn't prove their burden, meaning the government could not prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. That is the law of this land. A technicality, I guess I surmise you can say they had a typo, or like in the Bishop Whitehead case, from my understanding, he was originally charged. This wasn't recently, this not his recent conviction, but the one back in 2008 or 7 or whenever it was. From my understanding, he was charged with like 35 counts. The jury basically convicted him of half of those counts. What happened is when the judge sentenced him, he sentenced him on the not guilty, a couple of the not guilty parts instead of the guilty ones, because there was so many charges and they were duplicative charges, right? And so you had 5 thefts, you had 5 grand theft auto, or whatever it was, identity theft. And so when he said convicted on number 5, we're sentencing you to this, he wasn't convicted on number 5. So because apparently of some of the issues they had with that, he got out like early. Stuff like that, I could say is a technicality. But when it comes to like, or you require resentencing for that. Or like there was a case that I had where one of the co-defendants, he was convicted of murder. He went to prison, did his own work, and then looked back at his transcript and found out the jury was not given the proper oath. The Court of Appeal said our law says you have to give them the proper oath, and they overturned it. But our Michigan Supreme Court was like, oh, hell no, we're not going to let no convicted murderer out because of wrong. But those are technicalities, just to give you an idea of what technicality. Them actually showing that he was not, he was overcharged, in my opinion. If you want to get them on stuff, get them on things that they did. That's my long way around to say that. My long way to Walmart. The right one said, thanks, Pam, for keeping us informed. Thank you for the super chat, Darlene. How kind of you. Gifted 5 membership. I hope you guys thanked her. I appreciate that. You late from the work bushes. Okay, you go ahead and you keep, we can't, we don't have a good unemployment plan over here. So I need you to do what you got to do for that job. Bobby Lee said, for those who want Diddy in prison, he seems to care more than the women that was involved that never called law enforcement. And to that point, Bobby Lee, I do believe in this case, because I faced a lot of backlash, because I think people just thought I should just say, well, he beat Cassie and he should just go to prison for everything. And we've seen people that have alleged he's done them wrong, treated them bad. We know he abused drugs. And so he didn't treat people very nice that worked for him, according to them. And they want him to go to prison. But when you think about it, they don't want him to go to prison because of what he actually did, is accused of in the indictment. They just want him in prison because they feel like he's done things wrong in the past. And that's not a reason to put someone in prison. If you were that strong about it, and people get mad when they're like, but he was so scary and he was so this and he was so that. Diddy has more money. He had, I don't know what his bottom line looking like now, but we know he was a billionaire later on in life. Most of these people was talking about early on. We talking about 2004. Did he have money? Yeah. But did he have today's money or 2 years ago money? No. He was on the Forbes billionaire list. And Cassie didn't have no problem suing. He was still out and about. 5 more lawsuits came immediately after that. It was a whole 1-800 number. People didn't like it, just was the whole avalanche once people decided to do it. If you feel like you were wronged, you go through the proper steps. I think a lot of people are transferring their life issues on Diddy. And that's just what I feel. They automatically want him to go to prison. They don't care what it's for. He can go to prison for accused of stabbing somebody and there wasn't no evidence of a knife and people will be cheering, which is not how this system works. And what I have learned, and it wasn't until I had to represent some people that had that, like high profile people that actually had that same mentality, is when it doesn't belong, it's not in your backyard, people don't care. So you want your family, you want to call me when you feel like your family was wrongfully accused and convicted, but you was the same one 2 years ago not supporting other people because it wasn't in your backyard. That is the problem we have in society. We feel like if it doesn't affect us, that we don't care, and we don't care what happens to people, when at any time, at some point, the people it did affect, it didn't affect them either. So we have to just have an open mind. If the jury looks at everything and they like, nah, we feel like it was proven. The judge did not, like I said, I don't know if he even ruled on the whole motion of acquittal, but I'm assuming he not. So just like, regardless, I said that when it was filed or when it was asked, when they argued it. But obviously the reason would be that there's information on both sides that they can go either way. If the jury, after looking at all of this, comes to that conclusion, hey, it is what it is, that's the way our system is. Do they get it wrong? Sometimes they do. But that's the system that we have. And this is why Diddy has an appellate attorney sitting there taking everything down, making sure the record is preserved, which is very important. You cannot appeal something that's not preserved and wasn't objected to in the lower court. That is part of the rules. So I'm just saying, let's stop looking at things from lenses of I just hate them, so I want them to go to prison even for things they didn't do. It's a horrible attitude to have. It's very selfish, and I know we're a selfish society, but we got to do better. Melina said, hey, Miss Pam, is it true that the jury does not know the time Diddy is facing prior to deliberation? Typically not. I don't think they want that to sway them at all. But do I know if they know? I don't know. I think they probably be as nosy as everybody is. I just can't see them looking some of this stuff up. But that's just me. Patrice, thank you for being a member for 16 months. Said dual sovereignty state charges if not guilty and pardoned. I'm not sure what that even is meaning. Danielle, thank you for the super sticker. Thank you guys for helping me meet my goal. I appreciate it. Glamour said, thank you, Pam, for all you do. Appreciate you explaining the law to us with clarification. You guys are future jurors. I mean, and I would like to know that I contributed to the clarity of it all, because it's very important. It's a very important job, even though people have ran for it for years. I honestly believe that now, because of how people are so engaged, you have people flying, getting Airbnbs for 2 months for this trial. You had people like literally standing outside at 4 a.m. for this trial. You had YouTubers that aren't necessarily even given the respect of any type of a journalist or a reporter. You had journalists that's coming from California or wherever, because they like, hold on, I can't miss out on this because this is a big situation. And you have random YouTubers that may talk about freaking the Real Housewives of Potomac, and they were there. So I think that this and other trials like YSL has opened the eyes of people that probably will not be running from jury duty like they used to. So I'm grateful for that as well. Sensible Creation said, pass the collection plate and preach. Thank you for the super chat. Be the light said, we won't know till we know. Yeah. It's all up to them. We don't know who Patty said donation towards the unemployment fund. Because some of y'all are supposed to be at work and y'all over here being nosy. But before you go back to work, make sure you hit the like button. Okay, let's get back to what we here for. We get to talking and child, we forget what we here for. So the U.S. must prove a mutual understanding to cooperate. You may infer its existence from the circumstances of this case. Actions may speak louder than words. You may consider the acts of all of those you find to be participants. If you find that the Combs enterprise existed, you must find whether it continued in a substantially similar form from 2004 to 2024. The people can change. As to the defendant being a member, he had to know of the existence of the enterprise. The U.S. alleges 8 predicate acts. Kidnapping, that's why I told y'all that whole, they basically dismissed it was not true. They just dismissed the attempted, because they had attempted kidnapping, attempted arson, they had attempted on top of all of the just straight charges. So they're alleging 8 predicate acts, kidnapping, and I think that's supposed to be Capricorn, Clark, and Cassie. They're talking about arson. We know who that is, Kid Cudi, which was never really proven. We got the bribery. Part of that, I believe they're trying to say, like when Mia alleged that D-Rod contacted her after the lawsuit. We have and they said that's witness tampering as well, which I don't know how it's witness tampering because he wasn't even under investigation or indicted, but okay. Forced labor, we heard all the testimony about them working quadrillion hours a day. Trafficking, we know what that is, Jane and Cassie. Transportation for prostitution, that is, again, part of one of the actual separate charges. And intent to distribute narcotics, we all know that we heard testimony that Diddy was a user and abuser of narcotics, and he did not go over there to Manhattan or Brooklyn and say, yo, you got a dime bag? Yo, you got some of those XOs? You got some ketamine? Or whatever they would say, because they named a whole lot of drugs some I hadn't even heard of. You got that pink powder? And he didn't go there and just be like, yo, what you got? No, he would send his people, his assistants will be putting some of that stuff in their name for the pill parts. That's really actually something you can get from the drugstore, allegedly. And then they would also, he had one stop. One stop can get you from IUDs to like ketamine, okay? You had baby girl. They couldn't find one stop or baby girl. The government couldn't find them, apparently. So they said, now, what we did learn is that Brendan Paul was no drug mule. He was an assistant who happened to pick up some pink powder in the room, forgot he picked it up, put it in his bag, hopped on a plane, and got. That was his story. But nonetheless, even we've also heard testimony that some of the women, Cassie being one and Jane, they actually took these medications and they took some of these pills and drugs as well. However, as you see, they are considered victims. They are not considered distributors, even though they went and got it themselves. And there was testimony that Cassie did this on the side on her own. But because Diddy was the one that provided it, they're saying it's distribution, and that is an act under the predicate acts for the RICO charge. And so, as we discussed over here, the U.S. has to prove 2 out of those offenses, and they both had to happen within 10 years. So you're talking about between 2015, no, when was he indicted? 2024, I guess, 2014 to 2024. 2 offenses within the 10 years. All righty. Kidnapping. Now the judge talking about kidnapping. Kidnapping does not occur if the victim consented. I hear that. It's not kidnapping if they consented. Consent may be withdrawn. So again, what the defense was arguing is that Cassie was in a room that time when I guess there was a black eye and busted lip, but she wanted to be in the room because she wanted to heal and she wanted to be prepared for a premiere, whatever she had going on or whatnot. So this was her consent. You had Capricorn Clark, who alleged there was a GUN, but there is no proof that there was one. Basically, the defense said Capricorn wanted to be on the roster. She was happy Diddy came at 5 a.m. to come get her. Why would he need her to go to Kid Cudi's house when Cassie already testified she gave Diddy the information on where the man lived at? So it don't make no sense. So those are the two. And they're saying, so if you consented to getting that doggone car and you sat there and called people, he kidnapped you, but he let you sit in the car and wait for him to come out when he was done. Why didn't you get out? She said, I was afraid of mountain lions. So this is what that type of questioning was for, to show that she consented if she was there. That's just what it was. Okay, so that's the consent. Thank you, Suburbia Jones, for the Cash App, hon. I appreciate it. So let's go on. Then the judge talks about arson under California law, which means the conspirator set fire or caused the fire willfully and maliciously. So we know that's Kid Cudi's little, they cut Kid Cudi's top of the car allegedly, and somebody put a Molotov cocktail in there, and apparently it was a woman's DNA. So there were inferences that it may have been some type of trickery and foolery between, some of the women that have testified, but that has not necessarily been proven. Okay, let me see what you guys have to say. What about the timing of the HIPAA details being leaked allegedly by the jail medical team? I don't even know nothing about that unless I'm missing something. Yes, thank you so much for helping me reach my goals. You guys are the best. Glamour said, if Puff Puff passed, that's distribution. That's what it's sounding like to me. That's what I said. I said, so when y'all passing weed, you better be careful because you're distributing drugs, okay? Deborah, thank you for the super chat. Said, Pam, thanks for your thorough, unbiased reporting. You are always my go-to for legal reporting. Thank you. I appreciate that. It's a few really good ones out there too, but I'm glad I have my lane over here. Yes, Stacy said, hit that like button. Yeah, I'm gonna need you to do that. Winter said they are unhealed. Terry says some of these people more mad at Diddy than they are on their own daddy who whooped on their mama or their own baby daddies. That's what I said. I think it's a lot of transference of trauma. But I'm no therapist. We do have a therapist that be in this chat. I don't know where she at, but I think there is a lot of transfer of trauma, and people are like, he did it. And it's like, but you do know they ain't proved that yet, right? You do know that. But hey, people get mad. That's just what it is. Let's go on. Bribery of a witness under California law requires that a conspirator gave or promised to give a bribe to a person given or about to give information to law enforcement to unlawfully influence them. And so I argued with somebody on one of these lives who was really pro Diddy, who said it doesn't have to include law enforcement. I said, okay, you got it. It could be the security guy. Okay, you got it. Listen, I'm not about to argue with you. I said, let's wait. That's why I said, let's just wait for the jury instructions. That's all. I'm not going to argue with you because people want to be so right about their stance because they don't like them. That's the only reason. You don't like the man, and so you can't see past your hatred for him. But yeah. Silverback Racing TV said all these people who are flying people better watch out. Everybody getting sex trafficking charges in 2025. You ever been flued out? Called 1-800-SUE. Listen. Felicia said consent was not all the time. So when wasn't it consent? Which times? because that's what the jury is going to have to decide. There's only 2 instances. If you are referring to kidnapping, there are only two instances of which they are considering. So all the time doesn't matter. It's about those 2 times. Okay. Just want to make sure that you're clear. All right. I'm talking, okay, so if you're talking about something other than kidnapping, because that's the only consent we're talking about, then I ain't got to where you're talking right now, okay? So, but I got you, Felicia, I got you. I hear what you're saying. Consent also, when we get to it, when it has to do with the trafficking, it does not have to be just one time. But the problem they're going to have, which the defense has already pointed out, which time did, because there's a mens rea portion for Diddy. Which time did Diddy know that it wasn't consensual? That's going to be the issue. Okay. All right. Let's go on, y'all. So we know about the bribery. For witness tampering in violation of 18 section 1512b3, it does not matter if the subject of the threat is in fact fearful. Only a threat is required, but it must be knowing. For forced labor under 18 section 1589, it requires use of force or use of force of physical restraints. Good morning, Puka Pops. My baby just woke up. She had a long night. You know, it's hard being on summer vacation. You stay up, you know, long nights, late mornings. Okay. A person may withdraw consent and it may become forced labor. So, yes, they're saying for this portion with forced labor, you may say, I'm cool with it, but then all of a sudden you're not, I guess is what they're saying. Trafficking will have the same definition as in counts 2 and 4, and transportation to engage in prostitution, the same as 3 and 5. So, you know, 2 and 4 is 2 is Cassie, 4 is Jane, and 3 and 5, again, 3 is Cassie, 5 is Jane. Next is distribution of narcotics, including this long word that you see here, knowingly and intentionally. Distribution means actual transfer to deliver to another person. For possession, you have to have physical custody is not needed. Control is enough. Okay, so yeah, if you're giving these people narcotics, whether you just going to get you a share, you go to the man on the corner, you go to One Stop and get you some crack, you come back and you split it with your homeboy, you distribute it. That cocaine. The RICO has a 5-year statute of limitation. We discussed that over here. I think towards maybe the last week, some other people started discussing it, but we discussed that. You must find that it continued past 2019. This is why I told you they needed Jane for the, well, at least for the trafficking portion of the Predicate Act. Because Cassie wouldn't even be included for that part. Why? Because they were not together past 2018. Remember, she married Alex in 2019 and started having them babies. Okay. Dang, Kim Porter been gone since 2018? Whew, that's a long time. If you find that the government had not proved this beyond a reasonable doubt, you must find the defendant not guilty. So those that say, well, I kind of think maybe, no, the instruction says you must, you don't have a choice. If you do not feel like they prove beyond a reasonable doubt that it continued past 2019, this alleged RICO enterprise, you must find him not guilty. On trafficking, counts 2 and 4, transport means to take or convey from one place to another. Reckless disregard satisfies the statute. The deliberate closing of the eyes. We talked about recklessness as well. You may not have known. You can say, I didn't know, but you should have known. You must be unanimous on at least one specific instance of trafficking. So they have to be unanimous on that. Okay? At least one. Now, if they believe everything was consensual or they don't know which was not consensual, they're going to have a problem. On counts 3 and 5, knowingly, that's the mens rea, transporting or arranging for the transportation of individual for purposes of an act of prostitution with a PR, buying or arranging a ticket is enough. I'm sure the government said put that in there, which means, again, Jane and Cassie should have been sitting right next to this ninja if that's the case, because they actually bought and arranged tickets. And in some instances, apparently, according to Jane, she was trying to surprise him for Valentine's Day and stuff. So it was things that he may not have necessarily even knew was about to happen. She just knew that was his get down, so she did it for him. Okay? And prostitution does not need to be the main purpose. So when they sit up there and I guess they say, well, he just came so that he can do a little dance. He came for companionship because it's an escort service. Or he came for this. They're saying prostitution does not need to be the main purpose. It just needs to, yeah. So when you hear all this about buying and arranging tickets and whatnot, that's why they show Diddy paid them back. Even though they arranged it, allegedly, they're saying Diddy gave them their money back after they arranged it. So even though they really did it, Diddy reimbursed them. So it's all on Diddy. That's what they're saying. Yes, that's right. Just had to buy that ticket. Carmen Does Hair said, correct. I don't think he should be going to jail for life for what he's being charged for. Tanika's 2 cents said, could Jane be a cooperating witness? Well, we know Jane did get immunity. A lot of these people got immunity because, as you see, they were participating in this stuff. This is what a lot of people have problems with. You're saying but they're saying his co-conspirators are KK, who did not show up, D-Rock, who did not show up, or who they didn't call, was never subpoenaed. I don't know. But those were like the main that we heard them actually say they were the co-conspirators. They made the agreement, is what they're alleging. They didn't say it was Cassie. They didn't say it was Jane. But of course, when you know that they went and got Jane testified, she went and got narcotics and put it in her bag, and she took it over and put it in and flew it to LA or wherever they was going, or came from LA and flew it to another state. I don't know. She had testimony of her actually doing that too. Now, what if the jury feels like, well, why are we going after him? And she's sitting in a big old house, still getting paid for and getting $10K a month for an allowance. So she's still getting rewarded. We got Cassie, who got $20 million for one and $10 million from the hotel. We ain't heard a peep from her. After she got off that stand and gave her, her speech, she said it's about domestic violence. Well, he wasn't charged with that. And again, I will say that I don't believe any of them wanted to be there. I think that they were subpoenaed and they was told they had to. But nonetheless, I guess he said at the end of the day, it looks like KK stood 10 toes down. She only made one statement, I think, since she was a part of one of these lawsuits, or a couple of them, when people sued Diddy. She stayed 10 toes down. D-Rock stayed 10 toes down. I heard Fahim been up in the courtroom sitting in the audience, allegedly. That was the most current security guard. We got some 10 toes down for them, I guess. They was like, listen, they risking it all because they ain't come to testify against them. Traveretta said they were flying substance around like it was candy. That's what they say. Shelly said, where's the minors? So I think what you are referring to, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, under the trafficking statute, it says minors, children and minors, or by force, coercion, and fraud. He was charged under the force, coercion, and fraud portion of it. But because why they got them in the same statute, I don't know, or labeled, because people are assuming that it was because he's allegedly trafficking minors. He was never charged with that. So I hope that answers your questions and clears it up for a lot of people that believe that minors were involved. Let's see. Timbuktu, I'm gonna need you to stop with the all caps. Okay, thank you so much. Course correction said if he gets off or doesn't get much time, he really needs to go to therapy as his actual predilection. So what I'm saying, he allegedly was in therapy, so maybe he needs a new therapist. Okay, because after the beat down of Cassie, he said he went to therapy a month later, and they had information that he went to therapy. But as we know, he still was out here wilding. So yeah, I think he needs to go off to some island. He need to go to Bali or something. Where did like Left Eye go? Did she go to Bali? You need to go be one with nature. Maybe he needs to go and cross his legs like Russell Simmons. I don't know what the man needs, but he needs to be pulled away from this. I'm sure he is not the same person he used to be, from a perspective of you were just told you can go down like everyone else. You are not whoever you think that you may. I mean, you're not untouchable like you may have thought you were. You also see that when you treat people bad, at some point in life, you may need those people to say nice things about you. And if you treat people bad, they're not going to say nice things about you. And this was a good time while you were in there for people to say that was not my experience. I had a great experience with Diddy. You didn't have much of that. What you had when he got indicted was a bunch of people going on podcasts talking about their horrible experiences and how you treated them like less than human beings. So I think that he has a lesson that this has probably taught him. And I hope that if he goes from the spiritual realm, there are a lot of celebrity pastors that's what they are. That is another issue I have. And I think I'm going to go for those that are not, one of my mods put my dad's link in there. I think I'm going to do a conversation maybe tonight about pastors and spiritual leaders who have claimed Diddy, but we ain't seen none of them ninjas out here. We ain't seen not nan person that claims to be a spiritual advisor to come and support. You don't bail when you the point of you being their advisor is because they're dirty. We're all dirty. We need someone to confide in. We need somebody to pray us through. We need somebody to point us to scripture. And so I think it's showing a lot of people slips that you wanted to be connected to Diddy when Diddy was on top, and then when Diddy needs you the most, you not being that. I'm gonna have a conversation I think over there. Okay, so y'all make sure if you ain't subscribed, I'm gonna go over there. My daddy don't know it, but I'm gonna have to spice his channel up with a little gossip. You know what I'm saying? A little gossipy conversation, and maybe we'll do a panel. Speak, sister. Thank you for the super chat. You said you're right. Some of us just want Diddy accountable. If not, he may feel emboldened and continue, which does happen. Speak, sister. Next, it could be y'all's daughter. Innocent of what exactly? You were taught impartiality. I'm okay with my bias against evil. All right, speak, sister. You done said enough. You done said enough. And I respect your position. Just make sure you keep that position if it happens to you and yours. Because if you want people to be unbiased about you and yours, if that happens, then and because all the evidence may look one way, and then you get an attorney who can basically turn that down. My daughter's phone got louder and louder. I'm like, I can't even hear myself. You gotta turn that down. You're gonna have me getting copyright stricken. Somebody said he is guilty but wrong charges, New York, in my opinion. Annie Lindsay said that, and I can, we've seen some other things. That's all I'm saying. People just think about it from that perspective. Whenever I do anything, I do it not because of my personal experience, my personal bias, when it comes to the law anyway. It's literally when I help a lot of people, I help people that people think I probably should not help. I feel like if you're convicted, you should go to prison for what you did. You can be a nasty person, but that doesn't make you an unaliver. You can be a criminal, but there's levels to it. Some people might go ahead and sell a crack rock, but they're not going to sell it to your mama or sell it to your kids. There's boundaries in some things. So that's all I'm saying, is that we need to be very, very careful, because again, I've seen people with the same attitude that some people have said about their biases. And then they came to me after they were in positions to help some of my clients, and they didn't. Now they're in the position where they were accused of something, and you want me to just automatically believe you ain't do it because I know you. But you really had the attitude of, if someone is arrested, they must have did it. But y'all see all of the crooks around here. You see police departments that have done things that are below ethical. Like, you've seen people that have made up evidence and planted evidence, but you still like, well, if they did everything they said they did. No, let the actual prosecutors prove their case. That's all I'm saying. Queen V said, if found not guilty, he needs to stay away from media and social media. Yes, he needs to go away to somebody's island. He probably owns one somewhere, so he needs to go ahead and visit it, him and his family. Make sure you guys hit the like button. Let's move on. We talked about the prostitution. Okay, we have another part of it. Prostitution is engaging in actual activity for money or its equivalent. You must be unanimous on at least one specific act of transportation with intent to engage in prostitution. So their argument, I guess, is they weren't trying to engage in prostitution. They were just they were paying them for NDAs not to tell that they were involved in these threesomes and all these. They were swingers. That's the defense argument. We'll see what the juror has to say. I feel like if there's any charge that's the strongest, this would have been the strongest one. However, if they are able to persuade that, hey, maybe it was just a personal thing in their bedroom and they just, because they're rich and famous, they don't want people to know. Just like he paid $5 million for Jonathan Adi, I guess, not to come out and say anything about, because he recorded the tapes and all of that. Allegedly, he recorded one of the tapes or one of the events that happened without them knowing, or took it off of the phone. I don't know. Somehow he ended up with a video, allegedly. And so he got paid millions of dollars for it. So, maybe they can use that to say, yeah, they pay people off not to tell. On venue, that's the location, that New York Southern District is the right place. The U.S. must prove at least one act occurred in the Southern District of New York, which has 8 counties. And then the judge said, we are in the home stretch. In weighing expert testimony, you should not accept it just because I allowed it. So just because the expert said A, B, C, D, and E, you can say, I don't care how much of an expert they say they are. They don't make no sense. So I ain't even paying them no attention. The testimony of government officials are not worth of more or less weight than any other witness. So we had government officials, we had Homeland Security, we had people that talked about charts and all of that. Don't weigh them like they're so much more special just because they work for the government. You could pay them no attention to, okay? Witnesses given immunity. It was a lot of that going on in this case. Should be examined with greater care than ordinary witnesses. So if you got immunity, you should be extra side-eyeing them because they have a reasoning to kind of testify the way they did. Now, of course, the government said you were told you were okay as long as you told the truth. So, yeah. Charts and summaries, demonstrative aids are not evidence and will not be available to you in the jury room. So demonstrative evidence is like, say, for instance, I blow something up, but you don't take that in the back. I come, like if I'm doing an auto accident and I come with a skeletal figure or something and I got the doctor on there telling me where my C6 is or where my lumbar is or where these ligaments are or whatever, and I'm just showing you those kind of, charts and summaries. They probably use them obviously in closing so that they can summarize everything and make it more practicable to look at it and blow it up. But those they're saying is not available to you in the jury room. I've had situations where the judge said it was up to us if we wanted to do it. And I usually say, nah, Like, I was like, no, they don't need no extra stuff blown up in their face from them. It's a no for me, Judge. But, so I've had it be up to me. So apparently maybe they agreed to it, or the judge may not just allow it in his courtroom. Certain witnesses were permitted to be identified by pseudonyms that should bear on your evaluation of credibility. The defendant, should that bear on your, I don't know if that should be should or should not. The defendant had no responsibility to testify, and he did not. You must not attach any significance to that. We talked about that already. It's not his burden to prove. And I think we all started kind of shifting the burden because we just wanted to see who he had to testify. We like, what you got to say, Diddy? Ooh, I can't wait to his case. I'm not going to lie. I was going to go up there for his case. If he said I'm putting on a case, I would have had to beg some courtroom to bring my laptop so that I could do my little hearings and video visits and all the stuff I do on the internet all day to the court so that I could be up in that joint, because I wanted to see that. But it didn't happen because, again, they felt like it was enough reasonable doubt for him to walk. And it's very risky to have a defendant get on the stand. Why? Because you open a cross-examination, and they probably would have told Diddy's up. Do you hear me? They would have told him up. All of that. It's all about love. Because I can imagine. Because what they do, what I noticed in a couple of trials I've seen over there in the Southern District, they give a whole resume on how great the person was. And it's kind of like, he's not accepting a Dad of the Year award, right? You could throw it in there to show his businesses is legit, but I feel like they would have talked about how great he was so much, and it would have just taken away from you seeming like you're acknowledging that he wasn't always the greatest. He wasn't always the greatest in certain areas, but he was a great businessman. He has legit businesses. He got it out of the mud. He's made other people millionaires. People have great, able to put him on their resumes, and now they've gone and done great things. So from that perspective, yes. And it's because they took in what he had. He liked to see people built up. He, the Black community, that's just what he did. But in his personal life, he just was not the greatest of people. But there is a difference between his personal life and you saying that there's a business. So uncalled witnesses. You have heard names of people not called as witnesses. Each side had an equal opportunity to call them. Do not speculate or consider this. I got a problem with this one because I kind of feel like, and I don't know why they wouldn't have done like an empty chair type of a argument or a missing witness, but hey, I'm sure there was an argument to that I just was not privy to. Any notes you took are only for you. No outside reading. Do not come over here to Pam Esquire Law Intellect, okay? No outside reading. You are to consider only what was presented within the four walls of the courtroom. You may not communicate about this case, including on X, Instagram, or YouTube. If you see this, tell my deputy. So basically, y'all can't be tweeting, child, I can't wait till... Listen, I can't wait till this is... These people is dumb. I don't know why they are even voting this way. We about to be here forever. You can't be tweeting out your feelings, okay, jurors? Do not be swayed by bias, including implicit bias. These hidden thoughts can impact what we hear and see and how we remember it. You will not retire to consider the case. Each of you must decide the case for himself or herself after deliberating. Your verdict must be unanimous. If you are divided, do not report the specifics. Your foreperson will send out any notes and any verdict. Any communication with the court should be in writing. The alternates do not have to be here, but give your phone numbers to my deputy. You may be called to replace a juror. You will be called when a verdict is reached. The alternates are 234, 247, 292, 321, and 330. Those in the top row. That's messed up. They had listed this whole darn case only to just be like, go home, but just be available on call. Do not read any news report to this trial. If there were to be any, please accept my heartfelt gratitude for your service over the past 2 months or even more. My deputy will provide my personal contact info. I could give you a tour of the courthouse. Isn't that nice? Your consolation prize is you get to tour this great place that you probably can't wait to go home from. So then the alternates leave. The judge said, here is the verdict sheet. Only if you find the defendant guilty of count 1, answer as to each predicate, not proved or proved. And did X trafficking involve X trafficking of Cassie or Jane? And count 2, 3, 4, and 5, not guilty or guilty. From now on, your schedule is your own. You will be provided with meals. Now the marshals will swear you in. That's kind of what jacked up in one of my cases. They did the wrong swearing. They did something wrong. And them sometimes those defendants, they ain't got nothing but time up in that law library in the prison. And in that case I was talking about earlier, they literally caught it that the wrong oath was read or something. I think it was in the beginning? I don't know, but it was a frizzy. It was all over the news. Everybody was like, I cannot believe he's getting out on a technicality. Supreme Court was like, They swiftly was like, hell no. You ain't getting out because of that. You get over it. Now the juries can head back into the jury room. All rise. So the jury currently has the case. So there was a little bit more chatter here. AUSA Johnson said, we object to including the subject lines of BlackBerry messages like, I am so horny. Combs from Estavio said, it is common for exhibits to include subject lines. BlackBerry messages are more akin to emails than to text messages. That is true. The judge said, let's have only neutral lists go to the jury. I'll trust the parties to provide an appropriate laptop to the jurors. I'm going to stick around for a bit, but we'll just stay here as long as they wish to deliberate. At the end of the day, we'll bring them in. The judge said, I appreciate the collegiality on both sides in this case. Is that what's happening? Anything before we adjourn? Comey said, no. Can we go to another floor of the courthouse? The judge said, just give us your cell phone number. And now we wait. That's pretty much how it goes too. You bring your little laptop, you bring your book you haven't been able to read in a while, and you're sitting in the hallway outside of the courtroom most of the time, or you have to be in the vicinity. You don't have to like necessarily be in the courthouse, but you have to be where you can get there within a couple of minutes, because whenever the jurors have a question, you have to go in. The question has to be read for both sides to hear those questions. And then I may want to address that question in a certain way. The other side may want to address it in a certain way. The judge ultimately decides whether it's a question that we can even answer or if it's giving too much information or whatever reasoning why. And that's that. So you have to be around for that. So you'll get a text or a call. There's a jury question, and then you go in. So you have to be within the vicinity. But baby, when they come in and they're like, there's a verdict, you like, your heart just say, just falls. Just falls. Mm-hmm. So yeah, do you guys have any questions? Please, no all caps. Yes, thank you so much. It's just the thing that I have, y'all. CNN said they allowed Diddy to have books to read while he waits, and juror number 5 is the 4 person. I don't know who juror number 5 is. Is that a man or a woman? Huh? Annie Lindsay says straight black mogul takedown. That's what I see. Y'all going to the Diddy parade if he gets out, because you know he gonna Harlem shake himself right to them streets probably. But he need to go ahead and just, go chillax somewhere, because if he get out, that would have been a close one, okay? Okay, I've asked you more than one time, Timbuktu, so you're gonna have to go, buddy. Sorry. That does not make me think your comment is more specialer because you do it in all caps. Don't forget Marianne and the Professor too, the millionaire and his wife, the movie star. Ear, nose, and throat doctor said you threw enough stuff at the wall, something gonna stick. You said the jury foreman is a black woman. Shout out to my black women. You said rewrite the narrative. You got enough evidence and proof. Stand 80 toes down and up waving evidence all along the media. Stop the show. I'm just saying everybody need a defense. Your job. Thank you guys for all of the commentary. I love the interaction. Would you be comfortable with the jury dynamics as a prosecutor or a defender of 4 women and 8 men? See, I heard it the other way around too, but I hear what you're saying. It depends on what their answers were. You know, there might be some women that's down for the get down, so they might be the ones. They might be women that feel like that these women were basically finessing Diddy, and they got what they needed out of it, and this is overreach. Women can feel that way as well, and I also think sometimes women are more critical of other women too. So, Kia Elder 305 said, "I'll have to catch the replay. I have to hear your thoughts, Madam Esquire." You go ahead and do that. Mimi said, if someone is putting hands on my child, I'm not just sitting back taking photos. I'm calling the police. I don't care how much money he has. Her father failed her for sure. And Max said, I bet Puff can't even eat. No, he can't. He got the bubble guts for sure. Because I have it as an attorney and I know I'm going home. So I can't, when they say we have a verdict, you just be looking like, oh. It's been times, honestly, where I've done cases and we've had co-counsel and I'll be like, okay, I'm going to go on to my other cases. You won't have to stay here for the outcome. You stay here for the outcome unless I just got to stay here. We both ain't got to be in here. But yeah. Yeah, that sounds like what Sean G is saying. Black girl of the jury foreman. Jury deliberation. Let me see. We are in verdict watch, baby. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it goes. I was gonna do a poll, but then I gave up on trying to figure out how to do it again because I haven't done a poll in so long. But maybe I'll do one once we get off of here. Make sure you guys please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate that. Queen V said, I think it's 50-50. Could go either way. I think it's going to be a hung jury. His attorneys are probably ready for a stiff drink. Listen. Okay, wait a minute. Let's see what Emily got to say.
I don't know what they decided on, but you can go see it in the transcripts. Also, Secret Service Sam said that...
Let me go back.
All right, so here's what's happening inside the courtroom. The jury has officially been given all of their instructions. Right before they were about to go deliberate, the government, Maureen Comey, asked if they could remove a text message from Cassie where she says, I'm farting. I don't know what they decided on, but you can go see it in the transcripts. Also, Secret Service Sam said that the way that prosecution is acting kind of just like defeated, but they always act like that. And that the defense team is like showing off again, acting really confident, but they always act like that. So that's not really indicating anything. Fahim Muhammad is here. That's Diddy's head of security. He's sitting with the family today in the front row of the courthouse. And then everyone outside is just debating whether or not they think Diddy's going to be found guilty or not guilty. And I'm telling you, there's a lot of fights breaking out front of the courthouse right now. And I wonder if the jury is going to deliberate as hard as the people outside the courthouse. All right, so here's what...
That is nuts. So I did see some videos where people were arguing and literally getting into physical fist fights. Y'all, this is not going to affect your life personally. I think it's a slippery slope where you're going to have to be careful. This is what my problem is with the whole, charging of it all, because I can see the future impact, just like how they use R. Kelly as precedent. Don't nobody use Bill Cosby because he went on appeal. But, how they do use these type of cases when they get over on it, where they're going to try to keep using and probably expand it. But people outside physically fighting each other is crazy. And I did see some videos where people were really like upset about this whole entire situation. Like they have taken this part. Diddy don't even know y'all. Let's start with that. Let's start with the premise of Diddy does not know you. Okay? When Diddy goes home, he's still not going to know you. When you go home with a charge because you want to fight outside where there's marshals on top of the buildings, you can catch a case, okay? You're going to have to deal with that, and Diddy still won't know you. So y'all need to relax. Like, it's something to have commentary on. It's one of the biggest trials of our lifetime. I do believe that. It's up there with OJ. But let's be realistic here. Diddy don't know me, and he does not know the majority of you. Okay? So relax. It's not worth it. Have your opinion and move on. That's it. And I think some of this is also a mirror for a lot of people. Some people's responses is a reflection of their own internal trauma. Because, honey, it just is not that deep. Should accusers fear retaliation? I think they will probably fear it anyway, but I don't think Diddy's going to do anything. I don't think Diddy's going to do anything that will come back to bite him. Because, first of all, I don't think the feds will stop following him and looking at everything that he does, especially if the government loses, because, honey, they don't like to lose. So I don't think that they're going to keep an eye on him. That's what I believe. So he would be an idiot to do something like that, especially since these are allegations that have come out. So the first person they're going to look at is you. You're going to be the top of the suspect list. They don't care if you was over in Turks and Caicos at the time. They don't care. So no, I don't think he would be idiotic enough. Now, he probably ain't going to do too much text messaging anymore. No voice memos, no text messages. He probably barely talking on the phone because now he know folks was recording him. He about to move a whole different way now. Tracy said, I would like the chat to keep an eye on the like button. Can everyone double check that you hit like? She's so polite. You're so polite, Tracy. My sister would be like, yeah, I wish y'all get on your job and do what you're supposed to do. I'm like, Superstar said, wait, it was some dummies fighting out. Yes, they were physically fighting. Seriously. Dr. LaShawn said, Diddy don't care about these people. He better sit his earth down somewhere and give his life completely to the Lord. He better be in somebody's sport. But I hope it ain't none of these people that he was claiming as his spiritual leaders and fathers, because I haven't seen them at all. Unless they were seeing them behind the scene. Diddy don't know me, Anthony. What you talking about? How does Diddy know me, Anthony? You tell me, sir. I know some people around Diddy, but I don't know Diddy. Tracy said, Pam, I think you have to go directly into YouTube, click on the create button, and click poll. I'm not sure where you can see the create. Okay, let me see something right fast. I'll see if I could do it on here. But I don't know if I could put it on this video, though. That's what I was trying to do, was actually put it on this video. I think I have to play around with it. I've done it before. I've done polls on my wall, but I don't know if I've done it in. Clearly, you can do it in your videos, because people always say, did you hit that like button? Yes or no. So I know you can. I just got to figure out how to do it, because, I just hop on and hop off. Course correction said his kids are probably so stressed, hoping they have support. Yeah, and he missed their graduation season, prom, graduation. That's why people are like, why his son's there? It's like, man, they supporting us. Come on. People think that his kids should just walk away and not support him. I'm like, that's still their dad. Like, come on, y'all. Okay, so let's see. Here's another one.
All right. Personally, I think it's going to be a hung jury. Hung, not like Diddy.
So she's saying she thinks it's going to be a hung jury. That's from Emily. Oh, here goes.
All right, so
think they had something I
I
was
spoke to.
trying to see where they start fighting or something crazy. Because Emily, like, she'll find all the fights. Look.
You just like that. Yeah, you.
Still here, because you and I already, you good. All right.
I almost went off an Astro. Because allegedly was 2 slip and falls in the airport.
What?
They be really like, hold on. She was going off too when I saw it. Oh, I'm trying to put bar back.
Yay! Mark was literally doing that on Friday, and he made. They're not after this trial, though.
Sound like she might just be interviewing people.
Ratchet TV.
Hold on. Hold on.
What's going on? All right, this fight. I gotta capture the fight.
Auntie.
Candy.
Let me show you my handle real
I
quick.
gotta go help Candy.
Wait a minute.
King Don Dollars.
He trying to hype his Instagram up.
No. Oh, I thought a nigga said something. Bitch, I went to Queens General this past 2 weeks ago. Psych you down, bitch. That's for slander, defamation, inside. Talk to my Twitter. Mr. Musk. Talk to who I talk to. I thought a broke nigga, he ain't playing shit. You doing shit for clout. Here go 111. Bitch. Get off my block. You ain't running me off nowhere. Get off my block, bitch.
She said, "Get off my block." This is Ratchet TV. You're always capturing the chaos. Guys, if it's this bad before the verdict, just imagine what's going to happen. When there's a verdict, it's going to be chaos.
What did you read with your eyes? What did you read with your eyes?
Hold on, Cassie. Uh-oh. Yeah, I figured that. I just don't know how to put it on the video. Hold on, let me see. Thank you, Tracy. She always looking out for me, I'm just, Let me see. Let me go in the YouTube studio. See if I can add something to it. Create. I don't know. I gotta think about it. Think about it, Tracy. I gotta think about it. Thank you, though. And what's gonna probably happen is when there's a verdict, there's going to be all type of police out there. You're gonna have probably the NYPD. You're probably going to have, of course, the marshals that are there. It's going to be a lot. They're going to need to, if they're acting like this and we just on deliberation, they are about to show themselves real quick. So, yeah. Puff changed the game. You heard the lady looking straight nasty, taking about she wants to freak off and get pissed off. What? L. Jackson says she doesn't work there. Miss HLS said I have a cousin in jail right now. He should be there because he will hurt his mom and brother if he's out. He was just released from prison a month ago and acted a fool in that short time. Yeah, some people that get institutionalized too. That's another conversation. Thank you, Deborah. I appreciate it. It's going to be a mess. That's from Tracy. Yeah, I think that's her name. I think they said her name was Candy. So anyway. All right, y'all. We on Verdict Watch. I guess I get my Verdict Watch thumbnail and we'll see if they come back in the next 30 minutes. He got not guilty on charges. But I think we passed 30 minutes, all right? So we'll see. As the days go on, the tougher it gets as the days get longer. So we'll see. You never know what the jury is going to think. I'm going to try to get a poll together on my wall. So make sure you guys are subscribed so I can get your opinions. And we'll see if y'all know what you're talking about. That's what we about to see. You Get Me said it's going to be a riot out there when the verdict is announced. Joanna said, okay, quick is not guilty. That's been I can only say my experience. Sent a super chat question. Let me see. Minx, let me see. Thank you for becoming a member. Thank you so much for gifting the 5 memberships. I appreciate that. You said I had to renew my membership. My bad. I love your take on the prosecution debrief may look like if they lose. Was that a statement or a question? I want to make sure if you have a question for me, I know what it is. What the prosecution debrief would look like. Oh, okay. I'm getting it. Maybe I read it too fast. So what would it look like if they lost? They're not going to say much. They're not going to say much. They might say it's a sad day in New York. We believe everything that we brought. This was not a targeted instance. See, y'all got to look at it too. This is something Damian Williams brought. This is a Department of Justice under Biden when this was first brought, right? When they first started investigating him and when it was brought. It feel like Trump been president for like 20 years, but he just was president in January, right? So yeah, this was under his, and now he's gone on, to be his partner or whatever he is in some big firm. So in theory, technically, these people had to continue with what his choice was. And he made some promises that I feel like didn't happen when he did his, it's an ongoing investigation. We feel like it's going to be more, So it kind of lets you know they really didn't have everything they thought they were. They were going off probably what media was going off of as well, like what media was saying. We were going to find all these videos with this and this and that. I kind of figured that it wasn't everything they thought it was. And then we learned during the trial, the only evidence they have of the actual acts were on Cassie's devices or the devices in Cassie's possession. So I don't think they probably gonna feel defeated. I mean, like, they probably gonna stand there like, it'll be probably short and brief. I doubt they're gonna sit up there and just take questions. Now, Diddy's team, the way I be out here Harlem shaking up out of that court. First of all, justice has been served. The jury got it right. This is why we have the best system in the world. This is why everybody wants to come here. They took the facts and they applied the law and they got it right. They're going to be hyped. They're going to take all the questions. Any questions with you? They're going to be like YouTuber in the back. They're going to take all the questions because they put a lot of time in it. They stock just went up. Just like with, Brian Steele, how he ended up being, he already was a great attorney, but you end up being sought after. He was sought after because YSL. So now just think how much their stock is going to go up. If Diddy gets off, he's the worst, not better, whether legal or not. We don't know. You have two kinds of people. You have some people that just feel empowered like they're going to beat any old thing. And you get some people that really got scared enough and they really peed their pants and they thought, dang, this was really a close one. And God gave me a second chance. I got grace and mercy. I'm about to go to this rehab. I'm about to go handle my little ex addiction that I have. And I'm about to move differently. I would hope that he turns into the latter. Miss Buckeye said, I don't have a dog in a fight, but he will walk. Khan and Jima said, how does this affect consensual relationships in the future? It will definitely, because it's a slippery slope, and Diddy didn't make this up. There are actual clubs that do this. There are clubs, like you heard of peep shows. Peep shows, you come in, you pay, and you watch other people. So if you pay an entity, is that better than you paying the person when they show up to have X in front of you? Like, this is not a new phenomenon. And then inviting other people into your home or into your bedroom is not a new phenomenon either. So that's why I said we have to be careful about the slippery slope that we are creating. You may not like them. You may not like it. You may not participate. It's more of a moralistic thing. Moralistically, a lot of people may not do it, but on the flip side, there's some people that feel like, shoot, I do what I want to do. I got my freedom. And if the women are down with the cause, they down with the get down, then I'm down with the get down too. So they're going to do it. So Cynthia said, I believe him getting worse because of him being untouchable. Abby said, but Pam, when he walked away from the club, she got worse. He changed his brain, like he shifted himself. He actually, that's when he started got into fashion. He got into other stuff. So I don't know. I don't know what worse is because I don't know him. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know him to say he got worse. And Abby, unless you know him, you don't know if he got worse. He could have been way worse before that. I don't know. Did he continuously be the greatest person? Obviously, no. He was beating Cassie. He apparently smacked a couple of his employees. He would fire people every other day. But I know people that use that firing as a control mechanism too. In my world as an attorney, I know attorneys that are like that. And it's about whether you pay them attention or you let them know, yeah, okay, don't threaten me with a good time. I've been waiting to pack up my wraps. I done had to tell a couple of people that. I was sitting, I'm like, oh, thank you so much. I literally woke up like, I don't want to be here. And now you made it easier. And then all of a sudden, I'm just paying you the best lawyer I got. Oh, okay. Like, you can't threaten me with that because I'll just go out and do better. I always feel like what's for you is for you. That's why I don't watch what somebody else's does. I don't watch how they maneuver, how they do YouTube. I don't do any of that. My people are my people. What's for me is for me. So if you tell me that I'm fired, baby, I'm going to be packing up my box so fast, you're going to forget that you even said that I was fired. All right. And I'm going to be gone because that means there's something better at the next level. And that's how I just always look at that stuff. So it's a lot of people that just were showing their dependency on him. And they showed just like the cheesecake thing. That was my problem with it. You knew these people were willing to do anything and compromise anything to get a shot at being a singer or a rapper or a group. And so, in my opinion, he capitalized off of that. And they show that they're willing to do anything in order to get it. That's what you showed. Now, the person that would have said, I ain't walking nowhere, and he would have said, all right, you can leave. Like Aubrey left, and she been dragging him ever since. She done calmed down a little bit in the last couple years, but she been dragging him ever since. When she got fired, and then the other girl left with him, she was like, okay, you don't like the way it's running. I heard you don't like it either. You can go too. That was down at the county. She was like, okay. She got up and left. You ain't heard nothing else about her. She didn't really drag him. She just moved on with her life. It's some people that you give the vibe of you're just willing to do anything, but we're all unique with unique characteristics and unique jobs on this earth. And so if my job is not to be with you, Diddy, then okay, my job is to be with some. In fact, you probably stopping me from being where I need to go. But you got to get to that place and that point that Diddy is not the end all be all. He wasn't the only person out here when you started, and he ain't gonna be the only person when you leave. It may be time for you to get up off your behind and go start your own stuff. Stuff like that is what pushes you. And what's interesting is Andre Harrell was saying that he fired Diddy from Uptown, and he said he felt like as long as he was working with him, I think it was more of two kings than one castle. Like Diddy started getting big, getting good artists and all of that. But he said he gave him some money, I guess, but he alleged that part of the problem was you need to get out on your own. And he felt like Diddy would never get out on his own, but for him letting him go. Sometimes that's what people need. It's just he gets these people around him that's willing to do anything to be in his orbit. Like how the stylist say he smacked you around on a car, but then you make sure, hey, Diddy, happy birthday. You still try to keep in contact because what you think he can get for you. Why don't you get yourself in a position where you can get ish for yourself? So you ain't got to be connected to somebody like that. You know, that's all. Nick said, I believe all the women knew what he was into and how he moved. They chose to stay for the money. And if he isn't found guilty, they will still participate and be a part of his life. Diddy will be a damn fool if he messes with Jane after this. You will be a dummy and I'm going to call you a dummy. And matter of fact, if I see y'all together, I'm putting dummy on the thumbnail. That's what I'm gonna put on there, because you just dumb with 3 B's. That would be so ridiculous to me. You gonna have to let that go. And I mean, she may have just been with the ish that he just couldn't let it go. But nah, that whole taking notes and then saying the same stuff that you did to them, you did to me, and then starting fights and stuff after y'all ain't never had no violent fights. Nah, I said after she got off that stand, he should have stopped paying that money. To what, tomorrow, July 1st, she won't be having no rent from me. No, ma'am. Call your baby daddy. Mimi said, unless those videos show him forcing pills down their throat or forcing X, coercion, or threatening them, what was the point of traumatizing them folks? It didn't show it at all. But the point for the defense is to show that they all enjoyed it. That was their whole point, of showing that there was no coercion. There was no, they were actually kind of, he may have directed a little bit, but they were more in control. They seemed like they were happy to show their demeanor. So Mimi, the total opposite was the reason why they showed it from the defense perspective. They sent a note. Okay. Let's see. What did we have? Okay. Oh, that was an hour ago too. We have received a note from the jury. They have elected juror number 5 as the foreperson. It is signed by juror number 5. And there's agreement on laptop. It will be taken to them. Now we'll have a longer break. During the court adjournment, at least for now, Sean Combs is still in the courtroom. Family members are standing in the second room. Combs goes back to speak with them, holding his hands behind his back, then back to table, starting at laptop. As we said would happen now between jury notes, Sean Combs has been taken back into the holding cell as defense table. His lawyer, Driscoll, is typing away on his laptop. Sean Combs is back in the courtroom. His lawyers are huddled behind him in discussion. There has been a jury note. Ooh, didn't I tell y'all? I was like, they can't go too far because they probably all confused. If they come back today, I don't even know what I'm going to say. I don't even know what I'm going to say. Thank you, Miss B's Corner. I appreciate that. You know, put a little curls at the bottom. Y'all, you like that? Thank you so much. This was from a couple of days ago, actually. You curl it so tight. Well, y'all know over here if you follow me. When I put curls in my hair, I get them so tight, and then it just falls and it falls and it falls. And then every day they like, "Oh, girl, you did your hair good." I'm like, "Child, I just woke up and did this." For the week. Dr. LaShawn said, I know the hell there ain't no verdict this fast. I ain't never had this much anxiety. No, they said a note, Dr. LaShawn, a note, sweetie. The global strategist. And it's trademarked. You go ahead, girl. Does this raise issues on certain laws overused and their original intent? Mann Act. The Mann Act is a whole different conversation. I like Judge Joe Brown when he talks about the Mann Act and how it originated and all of that. Oh my gosh, the note takes up 1/3 of the paper. They must be real confused. Nah, they shouldn't be. The way people on the internet was talking, they was like, "Oh, this is so easy." I was like, where are these people from? They don't have anything yet. I'm like, how is this easy for y'all? I don't know. Hey, we're just waiting to see what the jury note has to say. You know what? Talking about they confused whether they want prime rib or lobster tail, what, for lunch? Marlo said, I agree. June would have been the last one. He gonna have to. I mean, they say you have a baby by people you're supposed to be a millionaire, but apparently that ain't what it is. Let's see.
how about your fight?
How you gonna find me when I'm managing this? You're my colleague. You can't find me. We're colleagues.
With the bullshit ass place.
We're colleagues.
$5, my nigga. That's all you need.
All right, cool. Give my cigarette from me.
Give me, hey.
They literally just be out here beefing. Like, y'all don't even know each other. Imagine like arguing with strangers. Like, what in the world? Okay, let's see. I'm getting sleepy now. You know how you wake up with a ball of energy? I was like, oh, I'm scrubbing floors. I'm doing all the things. I almost knocked myself out with all of the cleaning products. What is taking them so long? Like, what is happening? What is happening? It's taking everybody a minute to get back in the courtroom. How far did Brian and them go? Huh? How far did Agnifilo? Did they already go try to get some street meat? What is happening right now? Are they hungry? It is 1 o'clock. Tracy said no court on Thursday or Friday, so I feel like they will have a verdict by Wednesday or it will be a hung jury. That's Tracy's prediction. Hazel said he will get off. TJ said judges must have gone to lunch. The Eastern District of New York is considered the best. If you know, you know. Now, what I will say is my little experience at the Southern District of New York, I've been to the Eastern District as well. Eastern District is more akin to how we are in Michigan, like how they run it is very conservative, almost white collar, like everything. You kind of get intimidated just walking in the hallways. They're kind of straight. The judge that I was there for was like real, just he was mean as hell is what he was, but it still was more of what I'm accustomed to. Like they have certain expectations of you as a lawyer. If you practice in federal court, you better know your stuff. Southern District, when I went, it just was a little like how it is outside, just is reminiscent of how it was inside to me. I remember going through the metal detectors and like the guards, I don't know if they are from New York, but everybody's just super loud. So I do have to be getting used to that because they just be loud and animated. But it was like a lady that came in and she was like calling the guard like out of his name, calling the marshal out of his name. I was doing the security check, was cussing him out. And he was like, you come in here with this bush every day. And he was talking to her like that too. Like it was so rowdy. And then I remember being in the courtroom and I don't know what broke out in the hallway, but it was just so chaotic. Like if you have any type of like, I guess, ADHD or spectrum or anything where noise kind of bothers you, it was just so much going on all the time. So it shouldn't be the space you want to be in. So like outside, it was like you got, of course, all of the sirens from all of the police cars and all of the things where they really just probably try and tow your car from you illegally parking. Then in the hallway, it was like chaos outside the hallway. I don't know if people got into a fight. And then it was like the judge just like nodded her head for her depth to go out there and check on it. Like, and then she just kept on going on what was happening. Like it was just so much going on at the Southern District when I was there, the couple of times I was there. But the Eastern District, like in Michigan, like the Eastern District of Michigan where I practice at, it's like so quiet. Like it's just you walk in there, you hear your feet, like you hear your shoes while you're walking. It's like echoing. It reminds you of like courts you see on TV. It's really just that whole vibe. The judges are super smart. Like the ones that I've had, it's like if you don't find case law for your stuff, they might ask you, well, what about City of Detroit versus Jones? And you like, let me go look that shit up. Like they read all of your stuff. They read all your footnotes. Like it's just a whole different vibe. Like you have to be up to par. They know all the rules by heart. What about this rule? You didn't do that rule correctly. They will check the hell out of you. Like I remember being in against the city and they checked them for some stuff. Like it's just a whole, that's kind of what the Eastern District reminded me of. The Southern was just hood to me. I'm not gonna lie. And Southern is considered the mother, what is it, the mother district, mother court, motherland court, or whatever they call it. But and when you go in, it's like cool. Like I enjoyed seeing like Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Sonia Sotomayor, and of course it's called the Thurgood Marshall. You know, that's my fave. Y'all see the picture most of the time when I'm in my office, in the background. But yeah, it's like just the history in the hallways downstairs is what's like exciting for me when I go. But like the actual ambiance around it, it feels more like state court to me. But hey. The favorite ones that I have been in federal court, and it's different, very quiet. You can have phones, everyone just chilling. Yeah, like the phone part, they're a little bit more lax here, but before it used to be like, I'm not joking. You can be on the 10th floor. You pull out your phone and you may start texting. They had it where like ours, only lawyers can have their phone. So like you have to show your bar card and all of that. And that's how the Southern District was too, because I was able to have my phone. But like you be in there texting or whatever in the hallway, and it's like the marshals just come behind the, ma'am, you're not supposed to be on your phone. You're like, damn, I was down this highway by myself. Where you come from? Like that's how they were in our courts. And when people started having cell phones more prevalent, because remember, it wasn't always like that. You would have to go in different spots in the court. Like they had like old phone booths or whatever, where it used to be spaces that you had designated, but you could not use the phone anywhere else within the court. You said for always, forever, for life. Said that's regular there, but it's not rowdy at the building on 225 Cadman Plaza. Listen, I don't know. That was just my experience. I was like, are they really arguing with each other? I'm really mad right now. What is happening right now? Okay, let me see if I can find somebody else, because y'all, I don't like this at all. I don't like not knowing what's happening. And let's see. Let's go to the General of Justice lawyer, see what they got to say. Let's see. Let me go through. See if they got anything new. Because Inner City, you come on now. You know we out here holding our breath. She said, I'm closing the thread. I just posted one. Jury sent a note. Oh my God. So maybe she's just doing threads now. I don't know. All right. So this is what she says. She says, this is from General. I don't even know if it's a male or a female, but it says jury deliberations, Diddy trial. Jury note received. The jury has sent a lengthy note, first to prosecutors, then to defense, prompting both sides to return as they await Judge Submarinian's response. Combs is back in the courtroom reading the note, which spans about a third of a page. Somebody said that it was long. So there's that. Dickie said, free Diddy. They all going to hell for setting him up to get him the right way. That's it. Okay. Well, you really sound passionate about this case. ABC said they deliberated for 70 minutes before their question. I went and reviewed the description of the jurors, and they really got people from every walk of life up there. That's a good thing. Don't nobody got time for this mess no more in New York, New York, New York. You got a lot of other things on your plate and wasting time and money, resources. Dang, y'all talking about they should be brought up by the attorney group. Y'all trying to snatch bar cards and stuff. Listen, I'm not a snatching bar card proponent. Dang, you might need to get smacked on the hand a little bit to remind you of your ethical rules. Stacy said most are leaning on emotion and not facts, running to pick a side rather than listen to the facts and use critical thinking skills to make an informed decision. What they don't know, they don't. And maybe because again, this situation is not hitting them personally at home. And so maybe they're like, shoot, I just don't like them. That's enough for me. And so, like I said, my job is just to say, listen, let's look at it from a perspective of what if it was our family, or what if it was our people? So, but listen, his spiritual advisor should be up here waiting on his jury verdict with him. That's what they should be doing. Aaliyah TV said, you think we're going to get a verdict today? Yeah, I like Judge Joe Brown. He is so dope. He don't give a damn. He reminds me so much of like Mayor Comey Young from Detroit, our first black mayor. Anthony said, I think we're going to get a verdict today. Okay. Let's see if my theory works. Let me see, because that's a lie. They said the government look a bit defeated, but, you know, I think if they do, they probably are looking at what y'all saying online, because government usually. I wonder why they never posted the jury instructions. I would have loved to see those. I still would download them even after this case is over. Judge Joe said 5 to 10 years weeks ago. That would probably be for the prostitution. That's the strongest case to me. And if they believe, again, they can honestly believe that it was for for NDA purposes in a personal bedroom or whatnot. They may believe that if they believe that the RICO is such a stretch, or they believe that the trafficking is such a stretch, they may believe that and just be like, shoot, not guilty on all of them. But I think that, again, the main one is would be that one. Thank you, Queen Brielle, for a membership. I've been trying, so I gotta make you a mod. Hold on. Pull my phone up. I don't even know. That's it. Any thoughts on Richardson v. United States? Okay, let me look that up and see what that is. Let me see. Hold on. Richardson v. United States. Do I need to pull up the actual case? If I do, I have to pull up my let me pull up Lexis. I don't know what that is right now, you know. Let's see. I have to read the first line and I'll probably know what case you're talking about. Richardson. Is that 418? What did you say the site was? 526 US 813. 526 US 813. Let's pull up Richardson. Let's see what Richardson. Hold on 1 second. Let me pull it up. Richardson v. United States. Cert was granted for the Seventh Circuit to determine whether, as the court held, defendant's conviction of engaging in a continuing criminal enterprise was sufficient without juror unanimity as to each individual violation of the federal drug law. Continuing criminal enterprise conviction was vacated because the jury lacked unanimity as to each individual violation of the federal drug law. Defendant was alleged to be the leader of a street gang involved in illegal drug activity. The jury convicted defendant after being instructed that their agreement on a particular drug offenses committed by defendant was not necessary for conviction. The appellate court affirmed the conviction. The Supreme Court vacated and remanded, holding that each individual violation was an element of the offense of engaging in a continuing criminal enterprise. Jurors was required for each element of a federal offense. Jurors to each violation. So the predicate acts, I'm assuming, had to be drugs. And yes, you have to be unanimous on the predicate acts. And I'm just, obviously just generally reading it. A federal criminal statute forbids any person from engaging in a continuing criminal enterprise. It defines continuing criminal enterprise as involving a violation of the drug statute where each violation is a part of continuing series of violation. So they have to believe that. I think they have to agree unanimously on each drug violation that is the underlying act of the of the RICO. And it poses a mandatory minimum prison term of at least 20 years upon a person who engages in a continuing criminal enterprise. These are all right here are head notes. So what it does is for head notes, I want to be giving Lexus all this, free press, pay a lot of money for this. But what it does is it basically, like if you click on here, then you'll talk about that within the actual opinion. So if I want to talk about the criminal enterprise, when interpreting a statute, because as you see, these cases be long as heck. This really ain't that long to be a Supreme Court case. But yeah, I mean, I don't know specifically what your question is, but they actually did say with the predicate acts, they all have to agree. So the way the verdict form is, it's a line that says if you agree it's arson, you got to put arson and it has to be unanimous. So let me see. I haven't seen any notes. I was waiting. Hold on one second. Hold on. I'm trying to answer the questions as they come. Let's see. Judge, we have received a note from the jury that we have a juror 25, who we believe cannot follow your instructions. I would like to meet with the court about it. I suggest I ask for more information. What? What did he say? I don't care what y'all say. He did it. Or I don't care what y'all say. He didn't do it. So I guess they said, whoever it is probably said they ain't following the law. On which side, we don't know. You have to put the predicate act on there. You literally have to put so you may not agree on all of them, but you have to pick two and you have to agree on that predicate act because you have to put it on there. How do you not agree on anything if you don't put it on there? So I don't know. I would have to see the whole jury instruction because you don't have to agree with all 8. You just got to pick 2 that you all agree on. Other than that, it's going to be all over the place. Like, how you going to pick 2 to put on the jury instructions sheet, but you ain't got to be unanimous on it? I don't know. There's certain parts you don't have to be unanimous on, like the how when it comes to trafficking. There's certain portions of the statute of different charges you don't have to be unanimous on. But each element you have to be unanimous on. But as far as the actual, like how and which sex or whatever, I think you don't have to be unanimous on that. So it's just a lot. It's a lot. I don't know if KK is going to be charged. I don't know. Right, but the prosecutors and social media believe they don't. I don't know. I'm just trying to go by the law and find the authority. If you could find authority, then I would definitely. I don't profess to know everything. Course correction said, who waited all of this time to get back there to act the fool? I told you it's a sister saying not guilty on everything. That's from Judge Wood. You said the juror who kept laughing at the defense's dry jokes. Peachy Bama said, I bet they want to find him guilty and thus other persons feel like they didn't prove it. I don't know. I would love to know what's going on. I think it's probably for the defense that is changing their mind. Mimi said the ultimate were sent. Shoot, the ultimates just got on the train. Shoot. That's why they said leave your number. We may need you. It took them a long time to come up with this little one-liner over here on X. Oh my gosh. Let me see. AUSA Comey said, may we have a moment to digest what your honor has proposed? This is very sensitive. Agnifilo said, I suggest we just tell them it is early. You are just getting started. If there's further issue, please let us know. So basically, it probably was pro-defense because the defense is like, let's just let them know, it's early. Y'all get it together. Whoever it is, he probably don't want them to go nowhere. Whatever they were saying. That's how you can tell the response from each side if you feel like they may be favorable to them. If they already beefing like that, at least we got a hung jury, okay? if they already beefing, that's what's up. Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. Thank you so much for the super chat, ear, nose, and throat doctor. I appreciate it. So kind of you. This is very generous. As we close out the Diddy saga, I appreciate you. You said all 12 jurors have to agree in Richardson v. US. Correct. Yes. No, I don't think so, TJ. I think they do need to just tell them it's too early. I agree with that. Like, let's do said, I don't care what y'all say. I'm just gonna sit here. And then it's just if they're the holdout, then we know it's gonna be a hung jury. I want to know if they get a hung jury, if the government's gonna bring it back. That's the real question. If they get a hung jury, will the government bring it back? Or will they just be like, okay, we just gonna chalk this up as a loss? So the 4-person, thank you so much, Tracy. This is our co-counsel, says the jury in Sean Combs' ex-trafficking trial elected juror number 5, a nursing home aide from Manhattan, as their 4-person, a 42-year-old woman and person of color. Juror number 5 is a mother of 2 children. During the jury selection process, she told the lawyer she prefers getting her news by word of mouth. She says she got a ticket 15 years ago for carrying an open container and says she is generally familiar with the allegations against Combs. That is our 4-person. Thank you so much, Tracy. Keep it coming, because apparently we're going to have a lot of dead air because yeah, it don't look like they moving too fast on these responses here. Okay, let's see if we got anything else here. Come on, Inner City, don't fail me now. So the AUSA Comey said, if we go that route, we suggest instructing the jurors it is important not to include any information about what is going on in the jury room. So they're not gonna let us know what's going on. They're not supposed to. And they put up US v. Baker. Let's see. US v. Baker. B. Baker. B. Baker. Can y'all see that? Did it come up? Hold on. I did just, oh yeah, you can. Oh no, y'all can't see it on there. Okay, US v. Baker. Defendant appeals from the judgment. Let me pull it up for y'all. I got way too many things open here. Okay. Let's pull up the law. That's what type of channel this is. U.S. Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit. Defendant appeals from a judgment of the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of New York. Jacob Mishler J. entered after a jury trial convicting them of unaliving with intent to obstruct justice, conspiracy to commit unaliving with intent to obstruct justice, and related crimes. The Court of Appeals, Laval J. holds number 1. So this was the holding. The district judge did not abuse his discretion in dismissing a juror after deliberation had begun, where the district court found that the juror refused to participate in deliberations. You think that's what's happening? And 2, the district court could not sentence the defendant to the full range of the charge offense of unaliving to, let's read about that. Okay, this is what they're talking about. Let's go to So the background of this case is the appellants Rosie Baker and Vance Baker, who are mother and son, were convicted following a 2-week jury trial in the U.S. District Court for the Eastern District of New York of all of those charges I just named. And as to Vance Baker, only possession of a firearm with an obliterated serial number. In addition, after the trial, appellants each pleaded guilty to 1 count of conspiracy to defraud the United States. So I guess they have some other stuff going on. They were sentenced primarily to life imprisonment for unaliving, conspiracy to commit unaliving, and conspiracy to use firearms. 46-month concurrent for conspiracy to defraud, 60 months consecutive for use of a firearm, 78 months concurrent for possession of a firearm with an obliterated serial number. And that's the Vance Baker only, and restitution to the New York City Human Resource Administration, the amount of $1,926,576. They threw the book at them. On appeal, appellants contend, okay, we already read that. The evidence at trial demonstrated that Vance Baker and Rosie killed Dr. Daniel Hodge in connection with the long-running Medicaid fraud scheme. Rosie was the director of Long Life Home Health Care, a nonprofit Medicaid service provider located in Brooklyn, New York, that provided home health care aid for Medicaid patients pursuant to a program administered by the New York City Human Resource Administration. Rosie, with the assistance of her son Vance, devised a number of ways to defraud the government by diverting funds from Long Life's budget, including kickbacks for certain medical procedures and self-dealing rental and services contracts between Long Life and several entities owned by Rosie. Okay, so that's just briefly. So this was the jury charge. At the close of evidence, the district judge conferred with counsel on the instruction to be given to the jury. Counsel for the government advised that in the court's draft instructions, the wrong statutory language, blase. Okay. Dang. That means I have to really look this case up. I thought it was going to, let me see if I could cut and paste this. I'm kind of interested in the case. I want to see how it ends. Shoot. All right, hold on. I got to look it up on my, they not letting me look at it for free. You see how everything costs? That's what I'm talking about. Look it up on my own research engine. Let's see. Okay. United States v. Baker. Where we was getting into the nitty gritty, man. The evidence. Okay, here go the dismissal. Juror number 12 on this case. Jury deliberations commenced at roughly 2:30 p.m. After the conclusion of the jury instructions, less than 2 hours later, the district judge received a note from the jury foreperson stating, "We have one juror who says that the evidence is not going to change her mind. She has a feeling and that's it. She refuses to deliberate on any of the counts. She won't even look at any of the evidence." So that's what it sounds like it might be giving, y'all. After consulting with counsel, the district judge decided to send the jury home for the evening, suspending deliberation until the morning. Before the dismissal of the jury that afternoon, the foreperson sent a second note which stated, "Please advise us what to do. We don't know what to do." Now this person is saying that no evidence will change her mind. She also said that she feels we are against her. Now she refuses to even answer us. She started ignoring them. She said that she tried to get off this case from the beginning and she wasn't allowed. In a third note, the foreperson requested that the juror be replaced by one of the alternates. The third note stated that the juror was not abiding by her oath, that she refuses to discuss anything with us, that she will not look at any of the evidence, and that she sits with her arms folded, refusing to communicate with any of us. Furthermore, the note stated that 11 of the jurors feel that they have invested much time in this case. They have given up many things in their lives for more than a 2-week period, that they want to see the case through to the end. The district judge and counsel agreed to have the foreperson identify the juror in question and to interview the juror. The foreperson identified the juror as juror number 12, Nora Hunt. With counsel and the defendants present, the district judge proceeded to interview juror number 12. The juror stated at first that she had agreed to follow the law, that she had considered the evidence in the case to determine whether or not the government had proved guilt beyond a reasonable doubt, and that her conclusion was based on the evidence. The district court asked her whether she felt the defendant were unfairly prosecuted, to which she replied, "In some way." So she was pro-defense. The juror further stated that she had not come to her conclusion before the deliberation had begun, but then consistently added that during the last day of argument by counsel, she had decided that she would not consider the evidence. She contended that she had discussed her views with her fellow jurors and that she said, listen very well, but acknowledged that she stopped participating in deliberation somewhere between 1/2 hour and 1 hour after they began. There was no possibility of changing her mind. The district judge made a finding that the juror decided this case during the summation by counsel and refused to participate with the jurors in the exchange of views 1/2 hour or an hour after deliberation began. The district judge excused the juror based on the findings that 1, made up her mind before deliberation started, 2, refused to participate in exchange of views with the other jurors after deliberation started, and 3, said that if the district court sent her back to continue, she would refuse to participate. After the dismissal of juror number 12, the jury resumed its deliberation with 11 jurors. Approximately 3 hours later, the jury returned verdicts of guilty on all counts. So yeah, this is basically a case that the government, of course, is bringing up because this is maybe a juror that is saying, I don't care what y'all got to say, they should have never brought this case. That might be what they're saying. And so the defense is saying, listen, we need to give her a chance. We need to give her or him a chance before we kick them off. So now, you know, that court basically says the judge has the discretion and the right to kick a juror off when they basically is saying that no matter what you do, I'm not participating because I believe what I believe and that is what it is. So that is the law that we are talking about. Okay, let's go and see if we have anything else. Judge confers on the response. I'll stay here if like and can. So I guess the judge is thinking about what he's going to do. But apparently there is case law that provides that, yeah, if you come back there and be like, I don't want to deliberate. I don't care about the evidence. We ain't got to agree. So you can see why the defense would appeal on that it was a wrongful dismissal because they were found guilty. And that one person would have hung them up if they were not dismissed. And the Court of Appeals basically said, well, if you say you made that decision before deliberation and you're not going to participate, then we're going to get an alternative. So I see why the defense would have appealed that because they were found guilty and they would have, at minimum, they would have got a hung juror. So, yeah. Anthony said, I hate how Dana overtalked the judge. You think so, Anthony? Are we starting rumors over here? Relax. TJ said, wouldn't surprise me if he has a PhD. Some highly intelligent people are stubborn with poor social skills. I don't know. You said they want to go home. So it was juror 25. Is that what you're saying? I stayed in my house 3 months watching OJ case on court TV from the chase to the riots, man. Listen, the first time we watched the slow speed chase. So listen, that's the case law right there. We just read it. US v. Baker. That's what they brought up. So I guess they probably want them to go. Shoot, they like, oh, because you look at it, the reason you want them on there is because they can actually be the person who hungs the jury. So I don't know. I don't know what they're saying. So I think what the government is trying to make sure that we don't find out in the public what their way of thinking is. So there has to be some type of instruction that when you tell them whatever you tell them, if you tell them to stay, that we can't know whatever information you give, it can't be divulging one way or another, whether they want to, they're pro Diddy or whether they're pro government. Yes, DFN said, in Baker, if the court's decision is sound and no prejudice filed, juror dismissal is not reversible error. That is true. That's what they basically said. You said 51-year-old white male scientist, PhD in molecular science. Oh, wow. Oh, he's smart. What, you thought it was going to be easy? Huh? Livy, you thought it was going to be easy? No, they didn't win the appeal. That's why the court is using it. You get me? I don't know. That might be a rumor. I don't know. You get me? I won't judge Joe Brown coming after me, shoot. The 13th juror said, Jason, that's a long story, but to make it short, I think the feds proved their case. And TJ said, how you kick him off after an hour, though? What the hell is happening back there? Whoever it is, they might be standing with their arms folded like in the Baker case. That's why I read the case. Shoot, apparently people sensitive about this stuff. I don't see nothing else happening right now. So they back there deliberating. So we already got fireworks, y'all. We just starting. And Max said he's so smart, he don't breathe air. He breathes H2O. Right. They did not win their appeal. How you kick him off after an hour, though? I need them to come up with something. Come on now. I need to know what's happening. They're making my nerves bad and I don't like it. Let me see. The jury has sent a lengthy note first to the prosecutor. Okay. Awaiting ruling. Judge Submarinian remains on the bench reviewing the jury's note regarding juror number 25 and has not yet issued a decision. So now the judge seeks clarity. Judge Submarinian is drafting a response to the jury's note, asking whether their concern about juror number 25 relates specifically to comprehension of the instructions or another issue entirely. So I guess they trying to figure out what is their issue with him. Is he not understanding the law? Or is he just like in this Baker case where he like, listen, I decided when Agnifilo did his little corny jokes that I was sold. Or I decided after watching all, the stuff with the government that he did everything they said they did. So they have to figure out exactly what that means is what the judge is trying to clarify right now. Now I got to at least stay on to see what the conclusion of this is, because I was definitely about to get off, okay? It's been 2 hours, 2.5 hours. And we were done reading the doggone jury instructions an hour ago. Got you thinking, say, so what he is a molecular scientist. He is obtuse and unwilling. Book smart doesn't equal common sense or follow law or make a decision. Okay. She must know some smart people that don't got common sense, because you really were passionate about that comment. Thank you so much. You said with the PhD, he overstands the instruction. He probably said, I should be the foreman. Me, I should be the foreman. Why are you even the foreman? Andrew said, I know the judge just wants to pull out a bottle and start mixing drinks. Oh, they gonna sleep so good. It's nothing like an after trial nap. Like sleep, that sleep. It's like giving birth, that give birth sleep. Hey, Sarah, good to see you. What's happening here is a lot. Okay, y'all keep her, keep her updated. Technically, the juror has already considered all the evidence. We don't know. The judge is saying they don't really know what the issue is. Apparently, they tried to explain it in a half a sheet of paper, and he still had questions. So we don't know. So yeah, we waiting. Andrew said that may be it. He probably got offended he wasn't picked as a foreman through this superior level of intelligence. You know how some men are. I'm just saying. Some. I ain't say all, so don't be coming for me, all right? Some. I didn't put everybody in a category. Make sure y'all hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It's a lot of y'all in here. Thank you guys so much. Welcome if you have never been over here before. My name is Pam Esquire, also known as the Law Intellect. I am here to break down the breakdown, whatever happens. As I told everyone, there will probably be jury notes in between. They have been deliberating for about over an hour. And after that, they have a note, and apparently they think there may be a Baker issue, meaning there's a juror that is refusing to deliberate with them. We don't know why he's refusing to deliberate with them. However, we have pulled up the Baker case, and we've seen why the issue they have, but we don't know if that's what's happening with juror 25. Juror number 25 apparently is a very smart white man, okay? According to everyone else, he has a PhD in molecular biology or something to that nature, or something that I probably did not pass when I was in school. Shout out to him and all of his continuity into his education. However, apparently he holding folks up, okay? And so they're trying to figure out, what do we do? What do we do? What do we do? So what the judge is doing right now is trying to scratch his head and figure out, well, what exactly, even though you sent this long page of an explanation, it still ain't explaining what I need explained. So now he's trying to go back to find out what is going on with this juror, to find out, do you just got a problem comprehending? Or do you got some other type of a problem? Do you not understand what beyond a reasonable doubt means? Problem with knowing? Problem with arson? Do you just have a comprehension issue with what you're getting, or is this something else? So that's what we're waiting on right now, because I really was going to get off a long time ago, and then this happened, and now I'm nosy, and I gotta see what happens before we get off. So I hope that explains. She said late to the party, but the judge's instructions to consider each testimony is telling, at least to me, that some of the witnesses were conflicting. Well, no, you actually, they're the trier of facts. And so they're the ones that can say, we don't believe nothing Mia said. Throw all her stuff out. We don't believe nothing that Bongalone, Brianna said. Throw all her stuff out. We believe Cassie is like the star witness, and we want to believe everything she says. So we're going to put weight on hers. We don't really like this expert because she just seemed like she was generally talking, and she applies it to everybody in every case. So we're not really going to put too much weight on what she says. We get what she's saying, but we're not putting that much weight on it. We don't feel like beyond a reasonable doubt they showed it was that it was non-consensual. Or they can say, we believe beyond a reasonable doubt. Them women ain't consent one of them good times. Now, when it comes to the RICO, you do have a 5-year statute of limitation. So it has to be the predicate acts that they use is going to have to be past 2019. So we know when it comes to trafficking or prostitution as an underlying predicate act, when it comes to Cassie, it wouldn't be about that. So then you have to look at Jane. Do we really think that Jane was really doing things against her will? She alleges in 2024 that there was an incident right before Diddy went to jail, and he forced her to have oral. So that's, I guess, is her time where she's saying that it was non-consensual during that time. Maybe she may have some more. I don't know. I mean, she said in her mind, she would tell him, I really don't want to do this. I want to cuddle. I want to Netflix and chill. I don't want to just be your freak while you go out with everyone else. She would say stuff like that. And then she would just turn around. And basically suggest it. So I don't know how the jury will look at that. So it's just a lot with this case. It's so much. And I know that for us, we don't even have all of this stuff that they have. We didn't watch the videos. It's some text messages and stuff that were under seal. They see more than what we've said. And we've talked a lot about this case. We've read transcripts. We've read tweets. We've done all the things. And they still have way more than what we have. So, yeah. So then, let's see what they say. So then, let's see. The judge said it's 1:48 p.m. See if you can come to an agreed upon note. I'll come back at 2:00 and we'll figure this out. Okay, y'all. So the judge is like, y'all come together and figure this out. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. Ms. Buckeye, I don't think they figured out the last note. I don't think they know what to do, y'all. Let's see. So basically, right now, what is happening is the legal teams are drafting a joint proposal. They're sending a note back to the jury acknowledging their concern and encouraging them to continue deliberating now that the panel is only an hour in. They're trying to encourage them and tell them, you need to still try to get this. You only been in for an hour. Y'all already struggling? So the confusion is a bad sign for prosecution. Yeah, I would agree with that. Cousin E said, I'ma be one at Diddy should do some time for what he's done and been allowed throughout the years, but no more than 3 years with time served. That's from Cousin E. Would y'all agree with that? Y'all think he should get some time? Thank you, Karen, for the Cash App. I appreciate the support. Thank you. And Max said, get his arse out of there. Get one of them alternates back. And Mac clearly wants to see Diddy go to prison. I mean, that's what it's giving in Mac, that you really want to see Diddy. You do not want Diddy shooting off fireworks, is what it sounds like. TJ said, juror definitely not changing his mind now. They tried to vote him off the island. Wayne said, no more time. Jarvis said, no, Cassie got what she wanted, which is money. You said they gonna whoop jury 20. Y'all are funny. It never ceases to amaze me how many of you think. That's why I enjoy this so much. That's why I'm going to be about 2 hours behind all my work, because I wanted to kick it with you all real quick. Couldn't wait for today to come so that we can go over the jury instructions. Yeah, I do. I got to get off of here though, y'all. I can't. I'm gonna be way behind. I told you I got up and I started mopping floors and gagging on Clorox and Lysol and all of that good stuff and Fabuloso. So I got to actually do some work. I done basically pushed everybody to voicemail. I have not responded to one email. And but I have pulled up some cases, right? With y'all. Does that count? Yeah. I don't know if that counts. But anyway, y'all, thank you for rocking with your girl. So many people on her covering this, and the fact that you guys are over here with me, I do not take it lightly. I hope you guys enjoyed the commentary and the back and forth and banter and the intellectual conversation that we've had, because you guys are some of the smartest people over here on YouTube. You know, I only had to block one person. I think that's progress. I think that's progress for us. Only one person. So shout out to everybody who helped me reach my goal within the first 15 minutes. And then all of the super chats and cash apps that I got. I may be back on. I don't know. I might be back on. It depends on what happens. I'm going to try to get a poll up on my wall. So look out for that, because I want to know what you guys think. Guilty, not guilty, or hung jury. You said, what we going to do without you? Write some notes, okay? Because if we come back, I'm going to need y'all to give me some notes, all right? We may have to talk and deliberate again. But yeah, I got to get off and do some work, because, you know, I'm what happens with Diddy, I'll feel bad because the slippery slope that occurs. But at the end of the day, it don't really affect the people that's paying me. So I got to get to the people that's paying me to help them so they don't end up in this situation, right? But anyway, thank you guys again. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Share if you feel so led. And I'm going to talk to you guys later.